This week, tweets from Mbappe's official account called Messi a midget and dissed the entire of London. A switch in your ballsack could have been the future of contraception if it wasn't for one major problem. Donald Trump is threatening to put Mark Zuckerberg in prison for life for what he did 3 years ago. And forget everything you know about the mafia, okay? These days, it's not the Italians or the Russians keeping global law enforcement up at night. It's the Nigerian Mafia. All of that and so much more. Subscribe for me to oil up Kim Jong-un, like the damn video to avoid joining the whip wall, and let's get cracking! Okay, let's just jump into the first story today, because what the hell happened to Mbappe last night? Now, believe it or not, this is actually a real tweet, right? A real tweet from Mbappe's...
What should I get you from Crispies?
Woo! Krispy Kremes! Damn!
What you want, dog? We got everything.
Damn, you use your intuition. Just get me a 12-pack.
Okay, what, all filled?
Yeah, nah, get 4 glazed. And then...
Oh, geez.
And yeah, 4 glazed and then the rest just like them beauties.
Whatever.
I love me some Biscoff. I love me some... Yeah, you know the best ones. Woo! All right.
Son.
Crispies! Okay, believe it or not, this is actually a real tweet from Mbappe's X account last night. Bro really said that Ronaldo was the GOAT and Messi a midget. And that wasn't even the worst of it. Now, at first, fans thought that Mbappe had lost his mind, saying things like he was going to join Man United in 2028, that London, the entire of London, is shit. But then, as his posts got progressively more and more outlandish, it became a bit obvious. Yeah, he was hacked. Which, for reasons that we'll get to why this is actually a bit of a problem, they said that this was Mbappe's password. Man. Okay, now, here's the crazy part, right? Tweets and all that funny here. No, it's not funny anymore when we get to this. Because the hackers released an Mbappe meme coin. Now, still not at the serious part. That is... But his fans thought it was real, okay? I don't know why they would think that. But they did, all right? And Mbappe tweeted, "I'm buying 10 million worth in 5 minutes." And everyone hearing that thought, okay, we better pile in because it's going to go to the moon and we'll make a bit of money. But no, it plummeted within minutes, back down to 0. It went up to tens of millions, back down to 0. And you want to know what the damage was? Well, this is one example. An on-chain analysis account posted that one person bought $1 million in a single transaction, and it's now worth only 9,000. I can't even finish that. Imagine going to your family and you're like, I lost our life savings, $1 million worth because I bought Mbappe meme coin crypto. Wow. So a bunch of his fans, yes, got ripped off. But there's actually the flip side to this, because Woo Blockchain reported that one user actually invested 286 right down at the bottom. The token spiked up and he sold it at its peak, securing a profit of around $200,000 from $200. So I feel like we know who that was, the hackers, because they know. All right, that's really fucked up. Let's move on. Okay, guys, here's why. Gather around why a switch in your ballsack, all right, could have been the future of contraception in medicine, but it isn't because of this that I'm about to tell you. Announced in 2016 by a German, of course, it's German. I say that in the most endearing sense because, I don't know, we have a perception of Germans, the outside world, but every single German that I've met in the recent years, I have absolutely loved every single one of them. I mean, they are some of the funniest people, which is kind of why this makes it funny, because what are you doing inventing this? Anyway, invented by a German company, and it's called the Bimek SLV, or sperm switch. That one's a bit more catchy. And it made a huge splash, okay? Everyone was talking about it. News outlets writing, articles about it. People were like, this is the
corn casserole.
And their promises were big as well. They promised a reversible, long-term, hormone and chemical-free contraception for men that would only take a half-an-hour procedure. Now, As insane as it sounds, it is a real and fully developed product that, theoretically, if placed on the old spermatic piping, it would put you in control of when you wanted to be fertile and when you didn't want to be by the literal flip of a switch. You could see why it made a big splash, right? Oh man, Alex, I'm sorry. The kind of shit that you have to take out of these videos or decide to leave in must be an ethical conundrum every time editing these videos. Really must be. Anyway, remember that one main problem we were talking about? Well, despite making grand promises and saying on their website that by 2025, which is next year, investors will be able to receive a payout 3 to 5 times higher than their original investment, which is a minimum of $75,000. Well, they've gone completely silent. Take this for example. The last post on Instagram was over 2 years ago, 3 years ago on their Twitter, and their inventor hasn't posted on LinkedIn in 2 years. And also, if you compare screenshots from their website 8 years ago to today, back then they promised that clinical trials would start in 2016 when they were gathering up those investors, and that it would hit the market by 2018. Their website now says that clinical trials would start in 2020 and 2023 would be available on the market. I think they just stopped updating it. Probably working on it too, but just updating the website in general. Now I don't know how much money they raised for this or if they kept the money. That would be a big problem, I think. You know, maybe CoffeeZilla, tell him about that. He can look into it. But what I do know is that based off of this, it's probably safe to say you won't be receiving the Ball Flicker 5000 anytime soon. Which I mean, come on. It's a bit of a shame, right? Right? Well, according to my Instagram poll, 31% thought it would be a shame because they said, yeah, I would. And then 69%, promise I didn't plan that, said, hell no, they would never use it. So the question is, are you part of the 31% or are you part of the 69%? Let me know in the comments. Moving on. Okay, here's something absolutely crazy happening in the Philippines right now. I mean everything I'm about to say literally. You ready? The FBI is currently looking for the owner of the universe, and they believe that he's hiding underground the Kingdom of Jesus compound. Okay, let me explain. You see, this is Apollo Kibuloy. He says that he's the appointed son of God. Plane. I don't even think I live next to an airport. You see, this is Apollo Kibuloy. He says that he is the appointed son of God and a beloved pastor to 7 million people, but authorities say that he's a cult leader and he's wanted for horrendous crimes. So take your pick. He's on the FBI's most wanted list for trafficking women to the US from the Philippines, and local police have been looking for him for months. Kibuloy, who actually, he was the spiritual leader to Philippines' former president, Kibuloy said that they will never catch him alive. Oh, and he also said that the people chasing him are working for the devil. So take that literally, I don't know. But then, just recently, things might have changed for him because a staggering 2,000 police raided his Kingdom of Jesus Christ compound, which is why I meant in the beginning it was literal. That's what it's called. And he said that he is the owner of the universe. Oh, and one of his supporters died from a heart attack trying to defend it. And I mean it when I say it, this place is genuinely massive. It has an entire event arena that is bigger than Old Trafford Stadium. It can hold more people than Manchester United Stadium, the richest club, the most... Alex, put how much Manchester United is worth, market value. They are the most valuable, I think either them or Real Madrid, the most valuable club in the world. Kibuloy, Kingdom of Jesus Christ, has a bigger stadium than them. I mean, no wonder brother believes that he owns the entire universe. Oh, here's the crazy part. So the police, when they were there, used this equipment that can detect people behind walls and underground based on their heartbeat alone. Didn't even know that existed. Area 51. But because of that, they found an eerie secret layer 90 feet underground. And reports claim that this underground layer was separated into 3 different levels to divide women on their attractiveness. Gets weirder. This place is so massive that they still haven't found Kibuloy, but they believe that he is somewhere there hiding at this massive compound. So yeah, I told you, pretty weird. Let's move on. Okay, this next story was genuinely fascinating to research because I didn't know any of this. So I gotta start by saying, forget what you know about the mafia. Forget the Italians, forget the Russians. It's Nigeria's time in a very bad way, actually. It's not even Sorry. You see, the dreaded Black Axes, who are infamous for their extreme violence, didn't really get their start similar to other crime groups. They began as a student fraternity, and then they evolved into a global cult. Yes, they are known locally as a cult, spanning across Africa, Europe, Asia, and North Africa. Global. But because many axemen are university educated and early adopters of new emerging technology, the online scams that these people carry out are so sophisticated that according to Interpol, they've become responsible for the majority of the world's cyber-enabled financial fraud. So you got a scam email recently? Well, sure, chances are could be from the Axemen. Even the BBC's latest report reads, World's police in technological arms race with Nigerian Mafia. That is crazy. In fact, they have become so powerful that in the past few months, police units from around the world have joined forces to carry out raids in 21 different countries, including Switzerland. And in one case alone, in 2017, Canadian authorities said that they busted a money laundering scheme linked to the Black Axes worth more than $5 billion. With a B. What are they doing with that kind of, that's just one case. And no, it's not just online scams. They do all of these same horrific things that other crime groups do. Human trafficking, rape, murder, drugs, kidnappings, you get the point. And I say this with all seriousness. Over the past decade, the Black Axes have become one of the most far-reaching and most dangerous organized crime groups in the world. But now you know, because it's kind of interesting to stay in the loop of mafias in the world. I don't know. Let's move on. Okay, this next one is pretty massive because after years of it just being rumors and conspiracy, we finally have confirmation that social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram did censor and delete content because of pressure from the United States government. I know we all were kind of like low-key, like, yeah, I think we knew that was happening. But what? If you actually think about it, this happened. Wild. In a letter to the House, Mark Zuckerberg admitted that in 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration repeatedly pressured Meta's platforms for months to censor content about COVID-19 content, including humor and satire. And that part is key because yes, there are very valid cases for censoring misinformation in a time like a pandemic, but humor and satire too, chuck that in the bunch, your case becomes increasingly less valid. In response to this pressure, they also deleted posts criticizing the COVID vaccine and posts suggesting that COVID was accidentally leaked from a Chinese lab.
It comes from China. That's why.
Which is a theory that has since become supported by multiple government agencies, including the FBI.
China.
Zuckerberg said that he now believes the government pressure was wrong, regrets not being more outspoken about it then. We'll get to that. And if this type of thing was to happen again, he would push back against it. And that's the part that Trump has gone crazy about, because he said in his new book, we are watching Zuckerberg closely, and if he does anything illegal this time, he will spend the rest of his life in prison, as will others who cheat the 2024 presidential election. That's a classic Trump quote right there. Now, in defense for this, the White House already said that they stand by their position of what they did, saying that when confronted with a deadly pandemic, the administration encouraged responsible actions to protect public health and safety. But here is the main problem about all of this. This is yet another example of these large corporations and government using the tactic of crisis fatigue. You see, if you delay addressing or admitting to a crisis, over time, the public become less responsive or concerned about that issue, which was once so important to them. You know, if all of this came out back then, with all of our posts were being deleted and censored, we would be pissed. But now, people are like, damn it. Yeah, I knew something sneaky was going on. And then scroll. And that's that. And because of that, you know, there's no pressure for any consequences for stuff like this. But anyway, the question is, do you think that it was necessary to censor certain posts given the circumstances? Or was it an overreach of authority? And talking about an overreach of authority, we don't know the meaning of the word on this channel. Explosions, because we run this shit like North Korea. No, but I'm serious. Today's 3 random sacrificial lambs are right here. Put them up, Alex. Put them up. Let this strike fear into your heart to remember to like this video right now, or else you will become like the following. Let me just... Write them down. Okay, you have our 3 sacrificial lambs. I think you'll notice that there's a 4th one. I don't want to encourage this, but someone paid $2 in the chat to be put on the wall. And I do not want to encourage that, so do not do any sneaky shit like that, okay? So you can get punished today, and that's that. Do not forget to like the video. Well, that was a vicious one today. All right. Don't do it. Yeah. Okay. Let's get back to it. I think you guys have been punished enough. You don't want to be like that. All right, I've got an insane update from the man walking barefoot across the entire length of America. Did I emphasize barefoot? Let it sink in. Now, for all of the OGs of the channel, you'll know his backstory because we did one about him before. But for everyone new, essentially, a man has decided to do this incredibly hard walk to raise awareness for men's mental health because he himself at one point in his life was struggling so bad with his mental health after leaving the army that it led him to the edge of a cliff. Luckily, he didn't go through with it, and instead he decided to use this. And he started walking barefoot to raise awareness and say, "Brave men talk." And he decided to do this crazy walk, and months into it, he only had 400 followers on TikTok, which when I saw, I thought that should be illegal. So I decided to share his journey on my TikTok. It blew up, obviously, because what he's doing is so insane. And in the space of a couple weeks, he went from a couple hundred to a couple 100,000 followers. But since that last update, he's now broken the world record with a staggering 5 million shoeless steps. He got frostbite in his 2 pinky toes because he had to walk across the snowy Colorado mountains. 6 foot of snow, he said. He got severe heat blisters walking on the boiling tarmac in 42-degree heat. He walked across the spikiest roads known to foot, walked through St. Louis, the most dangerous city in America, and he didn't get robbed for his shoes, funnily enough. And 2 people purposefully tried to run him over. The first one he said was to try and scare him off the road, but swerved back into their lane at the last minute. But the second one didn't. Anton said that he literally had to jump off of the road to save his life. And after all of that, and already walking for 190 days, he still has 2 months to go. I'm exhausted just talking about it. But you know what's so amazing about this guy? Even though those 2 guys pretty much tried to kill him, he doesn't blame them. Instead, he said that those are the men that he's walking for and trying to help because clearly they've got something going on in their life that they wanted to take out on him. And you know, unlike a lot of other people doing crazy shit online for likes and fame, his only reason for doing all of this and putting himself through all of this pain is to raise awareness for and to break the stigma around men's mental health and to just try and tell everyone you don't have to suffer in silence. I mean, honestly, what this man is doing is so inspiring that I'm going to announce on my TikTok today, I think it is, that if we can get him to 1 million followers, he's at about a 700 something at the minute, I am going to personally fly out to New York in November, which is when his finishing line, and I will do the last barefooted mile with him. I mean, it's going to be cold as shit, but you know, these are the kind of stories that I feel like the internet needs more of. We get so much crap on the internet. This is good. So yeah, barefoot New York in November, December, jail in North Korea. Fun end of the year I've got. Okay, I think it's time for rapid fire news. Now, in the spirit of speed, everything that I'm going to say in this section going forward and from now on is going to be the first time. Fuck-ups, burglars and all. A burglar? What the How the do you say that? A burglar. And Alex, I'm counting on you to make sure I don't cheat. Okay, now this... I'm not ready. I wasn't ready. Okay, from now on. Okay, this video that I'm showing you right here is the stuff of nightmares. I mean, when I first saw this, I thought, holy balls. Okay, we can't put that in. If I get this in first time, I don't have to do it first time. Okay, recently, a group of people decided to go on the Sky Screamer at Six Flags in Mexico. But as they got to the top and they started spinning, a massive storm suddenly intensified. And just to add to their panic, while they were up there, they're looking down and everyone was getting evacuated from the park by staff. That would make your stomach turn. The ride, which normally spins at 64 kilometers, miles, one of the two, per hour, suddenly stopped, leaving them stranded 242 feet in the sky. For 10 long, grueling, scary, terrifying minutes, they were waiting there, getting battered by the storm. And then after that, they safely got brought down and everything was okay. But the moral of the story is, wasn't prepared for one, all right? Don't go on rides when there's rain in the sky. Famous quote by Dylan Page. This is the transition. Next! Talking about morals, though, here's a bit of a moral conundrum. Sorry, that wasn't allowed. Naughty. In May, Namibia was... No, you're not allowed Regos. What the f... In May, Namibia declared a state of emergency as the impacts... Okay, guys, this is what it says. In May, Namibia declared a state of emergency because, forget what I wrote down there, they have a drought. Their most extreme drought in 100 years, okay? That's why they declared it. And also because of it, an estimated 1.4 million people, around half of their population, is now having acute food insecurity. So they're going hungry, in other words. So, what do you do in that situation, right? If you're the ruler of the land? Well, the government said that we will need to kill the animals to feed the humans. See where this is going? Moral conundrum. Do you do that? So they are planning to cull more than 700 wild animals, including elephants. Not the elephants. Zebras or zebras. Zebras. Hippos. Not the hippos. And then distribute all of their meat to the people that are going hungry. And they're not only doing that because of the meat, they're also doing that because if you get rid of 700 of these massive animals that consume a lot of water, it would take off a lot of the pressure to consume the very little water that they have. The question is, do you think this is too brutal of a solution, or do desperate times call for desperate measures? Next! And for our final story of the day, Spain just had their Tomate Festival. Why? Well, apparently it all started as a food fight between friends in 1940, and then it kind of slowly evolved into the largest food fight festival in the world, attracting 22,000 people this year. And it's exactly what it looks like. There's just people throwing tomatoes at each other and doing tomato angels and... I just imagine the smell there. Oh, and here's something that I didn't really know what to make of. But it says, food waste is not a problem, as those tomatoes used are as ammunition are not fit for consumption. Wait, let me please redo that. I have a burp. It's not allowed. And Alex, I'm counting on you to make sure I don't cheat. The tomatoes used as ammunition are not fit for human consumption. So, one side, great, no food waste. Other side, how not fit for human consumption are we talking here? Because getting in your mouth seems like it's an inevitability. Like Thanos. Inevitable. Honestly, rather go to North Korea. And I think that about wraps things up for the day. Remember to subscribe to Oil Up Kim Jong-un. Like the video or you'll end up like those. And I will see you guys on Monday or Tuesday. Woo!
Delicious Krispy Kreme donut delivered fresh daily.